Alright, man, we back on gaming. And it's just like, week after week after week, people still don't fucking get it. As you see, it's just nothing but fuckery. That's all it is. All week I've been asking, what the fuck is going on online? What is going all these, these articles we see? What the hell's wrong with people? It's almost like people don't know how to act, especially on Twitter. They wait till, the weekend to really troll or act up. And we're not talking about kids. I'm talking about the media, alright? And these SJWs. That's who I'm talking about. However, understand that they wait, they get their little antics in, and then Monday, they start dropping bombshells of stupidity. They just do. And it makes no sense to me. So, as you know, media, we want to talk about the community and how the community's acting up. Talk about, the industry, how the industry's acting up. But there's a number of things we need to talk about. So, let's get started with the bullshit from the media. Because once again, they're going to take a run at you gamers. Because apparently, you're toxic because of the reactions of No Man's Sky and Mass Effect Andromeda. You're not letting this shit go. They're coming after you every time, every fucking week. I hope you see this, okay? And here's the thing. I still don't see any outrage. I don't see any. YouTubers outrage. I don't see any outrage. Here's the thing. They're getting upset because consumers were upset, of course, with No Man's Sky. You had every right to be upset with No Man's Sky gamers and consumers who bought the product. You had every right. Mass Effect Andromeda, as we see all the problems with that, you had every right, consumers, to be upset with that. And we're seeing now the company is saying all these things about how they had a lot of interns that really didn't know what they were doing, and they were put on the project, and that's why the facial animations, all that. Like, there's a number of problems, and as we've seen glitches throughout this game, there are huge problems because of development. So, $40 million, right? Okay, development. So, it goes to show you that consumers have legit gripes with both of these games. But because you're voicing your opinions on these games, now you're being toxic. They will say anything and do anything to degrade you. Week in and week out. They will. They will. And yet, no outrage. Yeah. Gotta love that. But there's more. Yeah, there's more. Now we gotta go back to the gender card, because apparently men don't like women playing online games. Are we still beating this dead horse? Are we? Because, this has been proven wrong time and time again. And you gotta love the bottom of that article where it says, you may not know a man, who hates women, but you can get a mental image of what they look like. Are you fucking serious? Like, so now you're going to give them a description so they can get a mental image of what they look like. Not to mention that we've seen a number of men, throughout gaming play as women or purposely pick women because they feel as though they're a better fighter or a better fit for themselves. Stop. And how do they know that you're a woman anyway playing online unless you have your mic on and you're probably talking some shit, or you have a screen name that's pretty obvious that you're a woman. But you know what? Guys troll anyway as well with the same shit. So you can't sit here and tell me that everyone's going to know that you're a woman playing online. Stop. Stop. But anything for clicks, right? Anything for views. Because they want to make sure that they want you to let you know, first off, you're being too rebellious against these, against these companies. So you're just toxic. That's all it is. You're just a bad person altogether because you're not buying into the bullshit that they're trying to force feed you. That's one. Two, now it's, these men hate women playing video games. Obviously they've got to be misogynist, and you know what? And then it transfers over even more. Because now they're calling you a bunch of fascists. That's right. For those who don't know, this was shown in apparently a gaming tournament that has a political view of where you start as a gamer and how it rolls downhill for you being a Trump supporter and being alt-right and all this other bullshit. This is an actual diagram that was at a video game, tournament. And I find it really funny because back in the day, if some shit like this was going on in a tournament, somebody would have ripped this shit down, threw it down. They would have threw it in the trash. But this was shown. So for the record, because I think we're only like 5 minutes into the video, you're toxic, which means you have apparently a lot of problems. You're entitled because you're speaking your mind on these games. You're a misogynist for not liking women playing video games because that's what they're going to try and accuse you of. And now you're a fascist. That quick. That quick. That's absolutely ridiculous. I just can't believe that these politics are still going on in our games when, as you know and I know, we've already said, take this shit, this is what's hurting gaming, take this shit out of here. Your political agendas don't mean shit to us. We try to get together, we try to play games, we try to have fun. And apparently you're trying to make it more than what it really is. And some got big off of it, granted, that's what it is, because, hello Anita. Some of y'all got big off of this bullshit. Some of you got big off of the victim, being, victims of all this, and you made some money off of it. So now everyone feels as though, since they've made, established, I should say, a norm for this type of complaint, then now they can also get in on it and make some money for some clicks, for some views, whatever the case may be. Alright? But there's more. Oh, there's more. Now we have these SJW idiots. That's right. Guy from Gamer X tries to bag on you gamers, say, real gamers. Apparently, he feels as though you're complaining too much about DLC. That's right. And he's going to try and compare it to an old coin-op game. You cannot be this fucking stupid to compare today's games, games that you own, games that you buy, and say that you're complaining about microtransactions and DLC and all this type of stuff, and then say, but back then, look what you did. We put in 25 cents back in the day to play a game, okay? We didn't own that game. It was a rent. That's what you were renting the time. And your time could have been unlimited for no matter how long you played until you died, right? That's what it was. Now, of course, there were some games that were based off of time, okay? We've seen this, all right? But that was, it started going up and up. That's when prices, and you have to remember, arcades went from 25 cents, then they started going from 50 cents. Then they started doing these dollar games. And what would happen? Now we got the power card and all these rechargeable cards, and it's become a mess when it comes to the modern arcade scene. If you go to Dave & Buster's, you can see that shit. You know what I mean? So, there were games back in the day that did have their little pitfall traps or whatever, But also understand that, like I said, 25 cents. That's what you paid to play a game back then. You cannot compare this to a game that you have bought $60 plus, depending if you get a special edition or not. $60 plus, okay? And then you know that they have DLC that's already been done. It's already coded in the game, but it's locked behind a paywall. And then you say later, oh no, we're going to give you this now. That's bullshit. It's not the same. And for you to sit here and do that is absolute bullshit. Like I said, modern arcades, I'm sure people can make a good argument and say that they have their own DLC or whatever, charge cards or whatever. Yes, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the image that he's using for old coin-op games that are 25 cents, which was a complete game back in the day, as opposed to buying your game, DLC lock, or microtransaction locks. They're already coded in the game, it's already on the disc, and they're trying to screw you. Big difference. It goes to show you the difference between somebody who knows their shit and has this experience and who has been there and back, compared to a guy who makes a bullshit statement and, is bragging about because he's from Gamer X. Whatever. Like I said, these SJWs, they want to be in this industry. I said, not saying this industry. They want to be in our community and take over our community so fucking bad and tell you where you're wrong when they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. But speaking of people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about, I didn't want to talk about this, but apparently some things happened over the weekend. Okay? So for those who don't know, Hip Hop Gamer, Hipster Shill Gamer. Let's talk about your cowardice, shall we? Now, for those who don't know, Rockaway Carter put out a throwaway tweet saying that, look, we coming into April. You said you was going to play me in April, dog. You passed the first April, and now it's been almost a year. Getting real tired of you ducking me. That's what he said. So, when that tweet was put out to Hip Hop Gamer, because, Hip Hop Gamer has Rockaway Carter muted so he can't see what he says, okay? Then we had one of our people come in. Anthony came in and was like, yeah, he's afraid to play you. That's what he does. He ducks people. He ducked me at PAX, right? Now, for those who don't know the story of that, these two were supposed to debate, right, about the way he goes about things, because as of late we've seen him go after that, that writer about Resident Evil 7, 7.7, and he also, got his fans to go and dogpile on another writer who gave Horizon, somewhat of a review. You know what I mean? He thought it was a bad review. Horizon Zero Dawn. So when Anthony called him out on it, he was like, I feel as though that you're going about this the wrong way. You always talk about positivity, but actually you're being very negative. And for you to be a grown man who's, I believe he's about 35 years old, this is not the way you should be acting. And then you hide behind, well, this is your culture, when it's not your culture. Like, he really called him out on it. And he said, I'll debate you at any time, any place. And Hip Hop Gamer said, sure, let's debate. Because, that's what Hip Hop Gamer was about. Remember, when he was challenged not too long ago to Street Fighter V by all these people, he was like, I don't want to play any of you, I won't play any of you, but I will debate you. That's what he said, right? So now we have a debate on our hands. So Anthony said, when and where? And Hip Hop Gamer said, okay, we'll do it on my terms. Meet me at PAX, and we'll do it at PAX. You know what I mean? We'll debate on camera. Right? Okay. PAX comes around. And Hip Hop Gamer is doing, it looks like it's a Periscope. Live footage, you know what I mean? And I'm sent this link by Anthony. And he's like, please save me. Please save me. And Hip Hop Gamer's there right next to him. And he's like, yo, this is my boy. This is it. And he's doing all this. And he's at the camera. He's like, oh, this is hot. And it's actually pretty pathetic. Because he's like, yo, let's go over here. Let's go all this. And he's going over to other people and he's interviewing and all. And Anthony, in the background, he's looking like, this is a joke. This is a circus. And I do not respect this man. You know what I mean? And the look on his face says it all. So, Hip Hop Gamer doesn't realize that people are making fun of him in the background because of how he acts. Because, like I said, he's a character. He's not a caricature of a gamer. He's not a real gamer. We know this. So then he starts to interview Anthony. He's like, how did you feel about this game? How did you feel about that game? You know what I mean? And he's like, dude, I just got here. I'm just walking around. I just got here. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell the way he's talking, he doesn't care. And mind you, there's video footage of this. What was sent to me, I was just like, you know what I mean? So he's waiting for the debate. That's what he's come for. He's come to debate Hip Hop Gamer, right? That was on day one. All weekend, Hip Hop Gamer and him, they don't have this debate, right? Anthony on the next day, on Saturday, goes to Hip Hop Gamer, acknowledges him, like, hey, what's up? Let's do this debate. Hip Hop Gamer ignores him. Wants to go and do all these different interviews. So, with that said, when Anthony said to Rockaway Carter, and because Hip Hop Gamer was tagged into it as well, he's like, yeah, he ducked me too. He doesn't even want to debate. He ducks me. Hip Hop Gamer automatically responds and goes after Anthony. He's like, what the fuck you mean I won't debate you? Are you on coke? You must be on some crack. I'm not scared of you. Blah, 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 blah. And he just goes on, right? Okay? So if you weren't scared of him, why didn't you debate him at PAX? You wanted him face-to-face in a debate at PAX, and then you ducked him. Then when he admits what you did at PAX, you get upset and go off on him. So then, Hip Hop Gamer wants to set a debate up. Time and place so they can do it online. Now, me personally, seeing this from a third-person perspective, you know what I mean? I'm not in this. I'm just watching, as an overseer. I'm thinking to myself, this debate online shouldn't be happening simply because he ducks you in person, face-to-face. So as far as I'm concerned, he doesn't deserve your time online. He lost that privilege. You get what I'm saying? It was on his demands, on his territory, because he wanted then. It was in his playing field, his ball court. He didn't do anything. All right? So, when he sits here and he says, all right, let's make a time and place so we can do it, he tries to pull in one of his people that he knows. He actually, adds him and says, yo, you need to set this up so me and him can debate each other. Once I saw that, no. You're not getting people involved that you know personally so you can drag them in. Nah, fam, that's not going to work, all right? So, after having a talk with Anthony and Rock, Anthony said, no, he's had his chance. We're going to put this on my terms. And that's how it should be. He had his chance. He blew it. Now, if he wants to debate, it has to be on your terms. So, if he wants to debate, fine. So, he let him know. Okay, look, this is when we're going to do it. You know what I mean? They said, you know, a specific time when they're going to do it. And, no, we're not going to use your friend. You're not pulling in anybody that you trust. You're going to have to do it on my terms. And after that, Hip Hop Gamer decided nothing. Got quiet. Haven't heard from him for days. Not trying to hear that you're busy, bruh. Alright? Because you instigated that. So it's funny that the guy who challenged you, the initial tweet who challenged you, told you you was ducking him, but you got him muted anyway. It was told you were ducking him. He's tired of you ducking him. Another guy comes in passing and says, yeah, you know, he ducked me too, you know, face to face in a debate. And that's the guy you go after. You go after the second guy, not the guy who initially challenged you, but the second guy who made a comment in passing. Really? That's what you do now. Okay. Like I said, this guy tries to pick his targets. But he wouldn't win this debate anyway. He wouldn't. That's why he didn't get back to him, because he's a fucking coward. So not only are you known for, because remember, that used to be his thing. He just wanted to debate. He just wanted to talk. You know what I mean? So not only do you duck games, challenges in games, you only play people, as we've seen as late, you only play people who will either push your profile, and like celebrities and rappers, who don't play Street Fighter V. They don't play it. And you think, okay, well, I played a little bit, and I can beat this guy because he has no idea what he's doing. That's what you do. So it's safe for you. That's what it is. You're not fooling anybody. But when you start making comments like you did with Tekken, it's like, I can never be beaten in Tekken. I can't be beat. And then when you get challenges, you run from them. There's a problem. You're not a gamer. You're a guy who wants to be part of this game, of this community. And, I mean, if anybody really wants to, you can Google Hip Hop Gamer. And the first thing that pops up is Hip Hop Gamer exposed. Because so many people have done it. But it's pathetic that you would act this way as a grown man, as a man who's 35 years old, acting like this. Scared to sit on your couch and play a game, scared to sit in a chair, on a microphone, and have a debate. Matter of fact, you're scared to see anybody face to face, because it's funny, because it almost makes you feel as though you thought you were going to intimidate Anthony until you saw him in person and realized, wait, Anthony's a lot bigger than me. So yeah, it goes to show you that this is how he was acting. It's absolutely pathetic. It's not positive, alright? What you're doing is bullshit. And it's cowardice. But let's move on. We'll see what happens with that, won't we? We'll see what happens with that. But speaking of people who are acting this way, we will move on to the fighting game community. First, there's a number of things we need to talk about, okay? So, Tekken 7. Since I just briefly mentioned Tekken. Harada wants Geese Howard DLC. That's right. He wants Geese Howard. Now, when the news came out, this week, people were like, oh, Geese Howard. I was like, wait a minute. Heihachi, Akuma, and Geese Howard in one game? Kicking an Iron Fist tournament, putting everyone on notice. You know what I mean? But people they fail to realize that these are old articles. Because when I did a little bit of research, go back, he had said that he had these concepts for Geese, for Tekken, April of last year. That's right. So in 2016, he said this. All right? Now it seems like people are just getting this news. But I will put the link in the info bar for you. All right? One where he says he wants it, like I said. And then you go back, you see it's from April of 2016. Very interesting stuff. So everyone's getting hype off of this when this is really old news. But, okay. I'll put both links in the info bar. Now, speaking of the Howards, for those who don't know, DLC. We'll talk about this. Rock Howard, all right? We know now that Rock Howard, because at first it was leaked, so it was just a rumor, okay? But now it's been confirmed that Rock Howard, we've seen the trailer, Rock Howard will be in King of Fighters 14. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't go with Shingo, but I'm very happy that Rock Howard is in this game. For those who remember when I talked about the DLC that could be possibly coming, I named Rock Howard as one of the characters. So it's very interesting to see that he's here. I'm loving the moveset from Rock Howard, taking pieces from, of course, Terry and Geese. And as far as I'm concerned, this is a win-win. It is. So I'm very happy to see that this is happening, but I'm not going to go overboard when it comes to these type of characters being released. And Max has done that. We'll talk about Maximilian in a bit. Okay? But first, we need to talk about the FGC and the standards of the FGC. That's right. For those who don't know, the E-League. As you know, the E-League has been going on, and they've picked a number of high-profile players to play. And they're playing, it's very, very calm, very, what you expect from an actual tournament. Well, Kotaku has a problem with that. That's right. They feel as though because there's no pop-offs, there's no actually buffoonery going on, that the way this is shot, the way this is run, that it's killing the fighting game community. It's taking the life force out of it. Are you kidding me? No, look, I want to get into this one part. Because it says, it's got problems so far. It's too quiet. Alright? It's too subdued. Alright? And too weirdly structured to work well as a fighting game event. Obviously, this person knows jack shit about fighting game events. Too quiet. Really. Anyone who's been to a fighting game tournament, is there ever any, yeah, it's on, yeah, oh, yeah, the entire time? No, it's not. If you go to any type of local, if you go to any, back in the day, arcades or whatever, people were quiet. People weren't yelling. They weren't screaming out saying these. They weren't saying anything. Was, oh, no! They weren't doing all that shit. Not back in the day. No. Even today in tournaments that you go to, not every place does that. No. So for you to say it was too quiet, because let's be honest here, when Japan puts on these tournaments, people are quiet. When you guys came to me not too long ago and say, hey, when the Middle East puts on these tournaments, everyone's quiet. There's no popping off. No matter how salty you are, no popping off, no nothing. No one does this type of stuff, but only people in the West. So for this person to complain that it's too quiet, it's too subdued, and this is what kills me, alright? When you say it's too weirdly structured, tells me you don't know jack shit about fighting tournaments. Because every fighting tournament has something different. They have their rules, that you can go by. Sometimes it's not 2 out of 3. Sometimes it can be more than that, 3 out of 5. Sometimes you can, no. There's always a structure for it. And also understand that if you've been just watching tournaments on YouTube or on a Twitch or whatever, and everyone's running the same type of tournament, then guess what? It goes to show you that you've fallen into some type of parody or cloning. Because not every tournament's like that. Alright? We know this. But there's more. There's more. So let's hear more, I should say see more, of what this writer is still complaining about. Oh, I need to read this. This is fucking beautiful. It's beautiful to a standpoint that they're so fucking stupid. But let's get into this. It says, I figured they'd enlist key fighting game personalities. Personalities! Remember that, okay? To help them organize the event, and that their high budget would allow the tournament to feel streamlined, entertaining, ready, and maybe even a little bit like reality show. We'll get into that in a minute, okay? Like reality show. I expected that to be controversial, maybe even unpopular. We've talked about this, right? Okay. It says, with the average fighting game fan, no. Given the fighting games rarely end up appearing in high-budget televised championship events. The fighting game community, FGC. Now, so pretty much what this sums up to is, you came for the freak show. That's what you came for. You came to see grown men act a fool. And, have no home training whatsoever, popping off in each other's faces, pushing each other. That's what you came for. And because you didn't get that, what you got was an actual tournament where people are acting like regular people and have some common sense. Now you're disappointed. That's what you came for. And that speaks volumes. Alright? Because FGC, this is what you've done now. Now that you have these pop-offs because of this fake bullshit that you keep seeing, and I keep telling you, these pop-offs are fake as fuck because no one's, you get into people's faces there, no one's getting hit and all that. Guess what? That means the shit is fake. So if you're enjoying fakeness, that means you're fake yourself. Okay? When it comes to this type of shit. Now, when people are saying this, that this is what they came for, then it goes to show you that now that's your standard. This is what they expect from you now. What did I tell you before? When people are acting like this, because remember, y'all used to say, oh, it's just an isolated incident. Remember a couple years ago, y'all used to say that? Isolated incident. It's not all the FGC. No, it's not all. Now we're seeing it more and more and more. And the more that you see it copy itself, we see commentators try and say that something is a pop-off. Remember the video I showed you where the two guys are shaking hands, and they go, that's a pop-off, it's a pop-off. And it really wasn't. It was just two guys shaking hands, and they walked off, and it was nothing. They tried to manufacture it. When you're trying to do it so badly to have a pop-off and say, this is what it's about, you've now become the circus. You've become the freak show. And this person said, I was expecting somewhat of a reality show. So it goes to show you that they were, hoping that these personalities were going to act up. This is what they think of the FGC. This is why. These are the complaints of why they feel the life force has been taken out of the FGC. Not because of the great playing or the skills, because that's what you come for, but the fact that nobody acted a fool. Now you've become the circus. And if you think people are going to respect you because you've become the circus now, no, this is what they come to see. They come to see people acting like, excuse my language, acting like ignorant niggas. That's what they've come for. Do you see now why I've been saying this shit needs to stop if you're going to do this on a professional level? But since Kotaku, that you're complaining about the pop-off and how it's, there needs to be more because that's what I come for and it's hurting, hurting business, even though I don't see how it's hurting business due to the fact that you just said yourself, multi-million-dollar, oh my God, TBS comes in and gives you this opportunity. Like I said, you can't act that way on TV like that. You can't. Okay? Because, sponsors and the FCC, you come in and you start cursing up a fool and acting a fool, they're going to take you off the air. That's not controversial. No, they're not going to have that shit. And if you think TBS, when the FGC gets to that, and they see that, they're going to fine them for that. Then they got to pay for that. You understand that, right? This is business now we're talking. So no, they had to be on their best behavior. But since you want people to act like a bunch of ignorant fools with no home training, you know what? I guess we should get back into this round 2 again with K-Brad and Wolfchrome. Let's see what happens this time when Wolfchrome beats K-Brad.
See what he actually said.
You suck! You suck. You see what happens when you don't got a crowd? You see what happens? You see what happens?
Okay, so what you're implying is there's 2 ways you can go about this. See what happens when you don't have a crowd? So what you're saying is if he doesn't have the support of a lot of people at the time, he can't beat you. Or what you're implying is when the crowd is that ruckus, you can't handle the heat. Either way, it still makes both of them look bad. But you suck. You suck. Big smile on his face. Now, if this was personal, it wouldn't have been all that. They wouldn't even got that close to each other. Because I find it funny, again, that if this is personal, okay, for something to be so personal, they spend a lot of time next to each other. As you know in the real world, if people can't stand each other, they stay the fuck away from them as much as possible. And for any of you to say, well, this is their job. Well, guess what? You don't think that people don't like each other at their job too? Guess what? They get into it at their job. The manager got to sit them down before something happens to cool things down. Yes, this is a thing. If people could not stand to look at each other, or it's that much hatred, that personal, that they can't be near each other, then guess what? They're going to go talk to somebody about that and say, look, nah, I'm not trying to even be near this dude. Either he's got to go, or I got to go, or whatever the case may be. That's it. That's if you really can't stand each other. But there's more. Let's see how this interview is conducted with K-Brad and Wolfchrome.
We got security nearby, right? Right? All right, just double checking. K-Brad, you didn't get a chance to finish on that last interview, so I'm going to let you start this off, man. Give me a little bit of your thoughts on that match that just went down.
The last game, he was doing something that I didn't know how to deal with. He would set the fireball right in front, and then I tried to low short it, and I couldn't put him. No, it's not excuses. You won. What are you talking about? I'm not you, bro. I'm not you. I don't got to do the whole cold hands. I don't got to do the cold hands.
Give him a chance.
No, stop talking. Shut your mouth real quick. So for one second, shut up. I'm trying to tell you that you did something good, you idiot. Now listen. You were doing something that I couldn't beat. You were doing something that I couldn't.
He's giving you a compliment, though.
Is this kid stupid?
All right. Wolfcrone's gone. Wolfcrone's gone now. He's walked off. He's walked off. He's walked off. Will this beef ever end, or is this everlasting now?
I think there's something wrong with him. I legit think there's something wrong with his head. Like, in his head is something wrong.
Oh, my God.
He still got the tag on his hat.
Hey, Wolfcrone, is there any respect for K-Brad, man? He did take you to the last game.
Now he's telling every excuse, I just can't deal with it. I just don't know how, you know. Every excuse is coming out the book now.
He was giving you a compliment, though. But
I understand that, but he's also making an excuse for himself. That's what he's doing.
For why he lost?
I couldn't adapt in match. That's me saying you were the better player right now. What are you saying? What do you want? Do you not know how to interpret what I'm saying to you?
Fellas,
I'm saying you did something, and it was good shit that I could not deal with. What are you saying?
Better said.
Fellas, will there ever be any respect between the two of you guys, or is this going to be an everlasting beef? Let's just answer the question.
Listen, as a player, I used to always fist bump him. I used to always shake his hand until he started talking trash. So it has nothing to do with the game. In the game, you're good. You're good. You're here. You're E-League. You made it here. You're on the big stage. Finally, you're here. But as a person, I just don't like him. I just don't like him.
Straight up. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Who gives a fuck?
Are you happy now, Kotaku? You got what you want. Now, here's the thing. Before I get into this, remember, FGC, you used to be mad at Kotaku because they used to bag on you because of pop-offs. Now, they expect you to do this shit. That's right. Just remember that. So, let's put this in perspective. K-Brad, he did nothing wrong in this. He actually did what a stand-up dude would do. A good sportsman would do. He tried to give this guy his credit. He tried to say, look, he was doing things I didn't know how to adapt to, I couldn't beat. And he made that very clear at first. He made it very clear, all right? So he's giving him credit. He didn't say anything wrong. Wolfcrone, being a fucking idiot, you know, at this point, I don't know if he's a child or he's just trying to play the villain role that you people so much love. I don't understand where he felt as though K-Brad was making an excuse. Admitting that you're the better person there and admitting he didn't know how to stop it is not excuses. And you say, it's excuses for himself. No, he's admitting it. He's telling the truth. He had a problem dealing with what you threw at him. What's the problem? What's the problem? And here's the problem with that as well, okay? Because once Wolfcrone goes into that, he's making excuses or whatever, K-Brad gets baited. It's a bait, all right? Because then, if you think about it, these guys are not answering the question. Neither of them did. Because the guy asked you. He said, will this beef ever end? First off, it's not beef. We know it's not beef. It's not beef, all right? But whatever, all right? Will this rivalry ever end? K-Brad really didn't answer the question. Wolfcrone didn't really answer the question directly. None of them did. K-Brad went on to say that, and he tried to give him credit, but he gave him some backhanded compliments too. Congratulations, you finally made it to the E-League. Yeah, that's backhanded compliment. It is, all right? But also understand that he's already mad at the way, Wolfcrone is acting. So, of course, that's where he's going to go. To not answer the question directly is unprofessional on both of them, all right? Now, he goes on to say he had no problem with him before, okay? And that he used to always fist bump him, shake his hand. But now, since he's acting this way, he doesn't like him as a person. Do you know what that means? That means now it's personal, all right? It doesn't mean, because, like I said, I put it like this. I've never seen two guys who don't like each other stand next to each other. I put it like this. If you don't like that dude that much, look, you want to interview me? Interview me over there. You can interview him afterwards. Put him in the back somewhere or whatever. I don't want to be fucking near that dude. That's what you do. So to me, it still feels it's fake. It's just so fake. And I don't respect fucking fakeness. I don't. At all. If you gotta be somebody else just to play a game or to get people to watch you play a game, you're a fucking fraud. It's that simple. That's simple. And if you cheer on that shit, well then you're just as phony. So phony people like phony people. That's simple. But you also have to understand, K-Brad didn't do anything really wrong. He just got baited into this. That's what it was. Alright? He did nothing wrong with this. Wolf Chrome acted like a fucking idiot. And he did. He did. There's no reason for him to act that. His excuses for himself. Walk off and carry on and come back. The fuck you walking off for? The fuck you walk? Stay there. This is supposed to be professional. TBS is giving you a platform to make this bigger. And this is how you fucking act. Pathetic. Pathetic. Again, pathetic. K-Brad took the high road instead of last time. He took the high road this time, being the better sportsman. And Wolf Chrome still act like a fucking idiot. Still. And I tried to tell y'all before, when I talked about this, the first, what happened, when he got in his face and it looked like he wanted to fucking kiss him. What did I say? Just because I got on K-Brad for that doesn't mean I'm a fan of Wolf Chrome. And it's clear today, as you can see, I'm not a fan of this fucking guy. Because of the way he acts. But when you talk about people personally, it needs to be settled. If you can't get along, get a fair one on. That's simple. Don't tell me that you don't like this dude and you still have these problems with this dude, but you're not going to settle this shit. You either settle it or you let that shit go. That's simple. Ain't no one touching each other, though. Everyone smiles. Everyone's real close to each other. Even though I like, dude, I'm going to stand right next. Nah, fuck that. And the dude is like, well, we got security around, right? That don't mean shit. Stop trying to make dry-ass jokes. That's not going to do anything. Ain't nobody touching each other because ain't nobody about it. All right? Everybody want to fucking talk. And at the end, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Well, if you don't give a fuck, then what the fuck you acting like that then for? Huh? If you really didn't give a fuck how he felt about you, you wouldn't even stay for the fucking interview. You wouldn't even been there to interview. I beat you. I don't give a shit what you got to say. You'd have walked off. Like I said, worst come to worst, you can interview me later. If you don't give a fuck. But you do. You do. Because if you didn't, you sure as hell wouldn't be spending this much time next to this man. People who truly don't give a fuck is not going to do that. Like I said, fake is fuck. And here's the thing. This E-League they've been putting on, I've enjoyed it rather good. It's rather well. I've really enjoyed it. I have. Because that's how tournament structure, that's how professional tournament structure should be. It should be that way. So for me, I really don't have any complaints about E-League other than that bullshit. But Kotaku got what they wanted. They did. But speaking of people who still don't know how to fucking act, I guess we should talk about Max fans. That's right, Maximilian. Now, for those who don't know, we brought up not too long ago about the Rock Howard situation, right? Apparently, Max made a video getting hype over the character being leaked in the DLC. Rock Howard DLC, I'm so hype, I'm so hype. When Max did that video, people jumped all over him. He was taking all types of scrutiny for it. Because they were saying, you don't give a shit about King of Fighters. You don't care. They was like, we've seen what he has said in the past about how if these other games want to survive, they need to have Capcom backing them. There's a bunch of bullshit. Everybody knows that Max is the Capcom shill. We know that, alright? He's the Capcom fanboy. We know that. So for him to come along and start to praise King of Fighters was a problem. All right, within the community, they were saying he's not a true fan. He should be ashamed of himself for doing this. And mind you, I'm watching this from overview again, third-party perspective. I'm not jumping into this. I'm watching this. All right, so he's taking a lot of backlash from the FGC, and then Max goes on to talk about. He's like, oh, woe is me. It's one of those, why are you attacking me for trying to be positive? Again, here we go with the positivity bullshit. But people, we know it's not. It's fake. We know the positivity bullshit is fake. All right? Trying to be positive and uplift the community, blah, 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 blah. This shouldn't be happening because they're saying I'm not a true gamer and I've done enough. So he's playing the victim. He is. But what he fails to realize is that it doesn't matter if Max did that. All right? If any person who acted like Max when it comes to Capcom and all that type of stuff, and they did the same things, they would have had the same backlash. They would have got the same scrutiny. So it doesn't matter if it was Max or not. But Max is still not focused on that. Max is only thinking about fucking Max. That's the problem. He doesn't realize if someone else just take Max out of the equation. Take him out of the equation and put random person in the same situation who would act like Max, and they would still get the same heat. He doesn't realize that because it's all about Max. So, when this happened, Hell Pockets came out and praised Max for, saying, he literally said, Max did a great job. He's doing more for the King of Fighters community than the King of Fighters phase, of the community themselves are doing. Which is a bunch of bullshit. So pretty much what you just did was, you just pissed on the entire community and yourself, because you're part of that community, by saying Max, who's an already established YouTuber, famous YouTuber, if you want to call him famous or whatever, is already established, you're giving him credit more than what you're giving anyone else credit. And when this was said, Durden had sent Rockaway Carter this stuff, and he literally was like, just have at it. And Rockaway Carter had a serious problem with that. Because he goes to Hell Pockets and he says, there's no reason why you should be praising Max like this, due to the fact that Max doesn't give a shit about King of Fighters. You're praising a guy who doesn't care about your community. But instead of praising him, you should be praising other people who are working hard to uplift the SNK community, or just the King of Fighters community. People who are putting on tournaments simply for those games. Those are the guys you should be praising and working with more than instead of praising Max. That's what he's saying. And when that was said, Hell Pockets apparently didn't understand, or didn't want to understand, that concept. He just got very defensive and was just like, well, Max's video didn't hurt anybody. Well, here's a little newsflash for you. Nobody said that Max's video hurt anybody. That's the difference. No one said that. If you watch Max's video, it's like, okay, he's hype. We've seen it before. Dreams do come true. We've seen it time and time again. Alright? The video he did, there's nothing bad with it. It didn't hurt anybody. I'm sitting here saying this as, in my opinion, it didn't hurt anybody. Okay? But for you to endlessly praise him the way you were praising him is bullshit. I have to agree with that. So when he comes out with this bullshit about how, he's not, it's not hurting anyone and it's okay. No. It's not hurting anyone, but he is kind of being a fraud about it. And that's what was said next. He's a fraud because he's not part of that community. And also, they started getting into the fact that he's not playing people and stuff like that. And that's where shit hit the fan. Okay? Because Hell Pockets afterwards, in response to Rockaway Carter telling him, in detail why it was bad to try and praise him, and then you're not taking the time to praise other people that's in your own community, all Hell Pockets said was, well, that's dumb. That's your response? That's the only fucking response you got? Okay. You can, you know what? Put him on a short bus, too. It goes to show, these are from grown men acting this way. I'm going to show you more. Because afterwards, Wildfang steps in this, and he's like, look, Max hasn't played this game in so long, right? And his fans, Max, come jumping at him. And he's like, no, look. So he posts a video of Max the last time he played on YouTube. And these were the responses to it. First off, let me say, grown men, yes, you grown men that are in these threads doing this, you were out of pocket on this, okay? Because you should know better. Look, Max is an adult. He's an adult. He can defend himself. He doesn't need you to come along and, well, you can't go by that. These YouTube vids don't mean anything. You should check his Twitch, and he's been playing this over and over and over again, right? And not to mention, the big insult up top. Well, you shouldn't be worried about Max. You should be worried about your own, type font. First off, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? It goes to show you that when you have idiots who come along and have no backing, they have nothing to combat you with, then they have to insult you just to fucking insult you. Okay? That's what it comes down to. But these other guys who have just come out and said, well, you need to check his Twitch, you need to check all this stuff, Max always plays this game, then Max comes out and admits that he doesn't. Now, as you can see what Max is saying, because that YT uploads doesn't represent how many times he's played the game. Sounds legit, sounds reasonable, right? Because not every time you play a game it has to be uploaded, right? Now, that sounds somewhat legit, compared to what these other guys are saying. You should check his Twitch and all that. Okay. So Wildfang takes it a step further. That's right. So Wildfang checks his Twitch, sees there's really nothing there. Wildfang goes even a step further than that, and goes and checks his PSN screen name, and finds out that Max hasn't played King of Fighters in months. Months. And Max is saying, well, you know, the netcode is kind of rough. We just played King of Fighters was it yesterday? It was a group of us. Yesterday, day before, something like that. And the netcode was spectacular. Yes, at one point, that King of Fighters had a problem with netcode, but they fixed it. They fixed it within a week or two? 3 weeks, maybe? So for you to sit here and say that the netcode was rough, and then Wildfang checks your PSN account, and you haven't played this game in a very long time, in months, on top of you saying this, yeah, Wildfang is going to sit here and say that you're still a fraud. And that's what happened on Twitter, right? Mind you, still not getting into this. I'm just watching, right? And then one of Max's fans comes out and says, probably the most dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. Because like I said, people will come and cape. They will come and rush to the rescue of someone that they like, even though he can defend himself. So now you're saying that Max, when Max plays his games, he's an entertainer. That's right. He's not a competitor. He doesn't play fighting games like that. He's only simply an entertainer, and that's all that should be looked at. So wait a minute. Are you really trying to go this route? He's an entertainer, not a competitor. It's not his job if he's ducking matches, it's fine because it's not his job. You've got to be kidding me, right? First off, there's so much fucking wrong with this, so let's get something straight. Ducking matches, first off, it's not a job to take every fight, okay? It's not his job. It's not a job. It's not. I don't even know where you got that from, all right? If he ducks fights, he ducks fights. If he accepts fights, he accepts fights. Nowhere does it say that it's in a job description that he needs to do that. It's not his job. No one said it was his fucking job, okay? Once again, we've got fans out of pocket. Again, okay? Not his job. Now, here's the thing. When you say that he's an entertainer and not a competitor, that actually discredits Max. Because I understand you're trying to defend him, but you're also hurting him. Because you have to understand that when you're playing these games, and I put it like this, it doesn't matter if it's a fighting game, all right? It could be any game when it comes to this. You know that there is a level of competition. You know that there is an uphill battle, and you're trying to beat it. Which means there's a competitive edge to it, no matter what you're really playing. So if he's playing a fighting game, which is nothing but competition, then yes, you turn into a competitor because, you want to try and win. That's what it is. Yes, you're having fun with the game, but you still want to try and win. That's in the fighting aspect. If I play something like Super Ghost and Ghouls, okay, and guess what? There's a large uphill battle with that, but the competitor in me is going to say, I can overcome that. That's what it comes down to. Souls players the same way. Oh, you keep dying, you keep dying. Guess what? You keep playing because you want to overcome it, and then when you beat it, you're like, fuck yeah! Because you've beaten the odds. It's the competitor in you. So for this person to come out and say, he's an entertainer, not a competitor, you're full of shit. You are. It's that simple. Like I said, we have too many people trying to come out and defend a grown man who can speak for himself. And this is the problem I'm saying. And again, I'm not seeing Max step up and say, look, you guys, stop speaking for me. I got this. You know what I mean? Not once. But instead, he's too busy tweeting about how he feels as though he's being dogpiled and woe is me and go after him. I'll let y'all go after him. But there's more. And this is what I mean about going after him. Because when Wildfang actually puts out these things, like I said, he screenshotted this stuff and showing these fans, look, he hasn't played it here, he hasn't played it here, he hasn't played it here. What are you guys talking about when you make up this shit? Then, here comes the people to insult him. So let me get this straight. Not only are you fucking trolling and acting like a fucking child by insulting him, but now you're saying that Max doesn't have to associate with him, even though Wildfang is just simply, showing the stuff. And if you notice this entire time, when it comes to, I didn't show you the tweets from Rock, but when Rock was talking, no insults whatsoever. When Wildfang, as you can see in these posts, no insults whatsoever. No, not talking, not trying to trash him, not trying to curse him out or anything, no. Just showing proof. So now when you show proof, it's fuck you, he doesn't have to associate with you. It gets worse, because then they got to play the favoritism card. So now, he doesn't have to deal with a no name like you. So now you have to be a big name in order for him to speak with you and talk with you about things. Mind you, Max responded to Wildfang, so it's not like Max himself is saying, no, you're too small for me to address. Max didn't say that. His fans said that shit. You get what I'm saying? Which is absolutely ridiculous. So, because Wildfang is asking, why is this, why are you guys doing this? Simply because I'm showing you proof. And it's fuck you, you're not a big name enough. So I guess if a big name came along and did this, then it would be okay. Then it would be alright. Like I told you before, the truth is the truth regardless. Okay? Regardless. So for fucking idiots to act like this, like I said, when these people act this way, and you Max fans, I understand that there's some Max fans that follow me too, and I've talked to you before, and you said, you know what, I'm a fan of Max, but the way that a majority of these guys act online to defend him is absolutely ridiculous. And I agree. Like you said, I'm not in these tweets. No, I'm just watching. You know what I mean? I'm just watching. Because that's, when those Twitter bouts happen, I sit and watch what's going on with that. But every time, it's the same thing. Max fans come to defend him. They dogpile on a person who has proof or accuse him of something, and like I said, and show the proof to back it up, and they just don't want to fucking hear it. And they jump all over him. Oh, well, you know what? No, that the screenshot of him on YouTube, that doesn't mean that he doesn't play the game. You know what I mean? You gotta check his Twitch and all that. Check his Twitch. Check his deposit on his PSN. You see as though he's not playing it. What's the excuse now? They have nothing left, so it's fuck you. That's absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. But in the midst of all this, all right, there is one guy who just tried to defend Max who somewhat made a good point. So let's at least show that. Now look, as you can see, he's saying, look, Max likes to play Mortal. I've seen him play King of Fighters. Yeah, you probably saw him playing King of Fighters once. I mean, there's videos up of him playing King of Fighters. So you saw him playing it, but not consistently. But here's the thing, all right? He likes to play more than one game. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Because we talked about that last week and the week before. Because apparently if you don't play one game, one specific fighting game, well then you know what? You're just a Smash player. You're a dirty Smash player and all this other shit. Because apparently if you're good at one game, that's the only game you're supposed to be playing. And what did I say about that? That is bullshit. Okay? It's bullshit. You play whatever games you like. So, while I don't have a problem with this, you know what I mean, what he's saying, because it's true. You play what you like, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden that, you know what I mean, that he's a huge fan. We know he's not a huge fan. So when he did that video, like I said, the community, like I said, I didn't jump at him. You notice I still haven't jumped really over him, at him over it. You notice that? No, I haven't. All right? But it's the community in general who has given him this backlash because of it, because they know how he is. But like I said, the biggest part of this, the problem of this, is that you have a lot of people speaking for you that don't know you, and they make you look bad. Because the simple fact is, they're saying something completely different than what you're saying. And they're degrading you even though they're trying to defend you. He's not a competitor. Max is a competitor. All right? Was he a competitor when he played, Demetrius Johnson? Was he a competitor then when he played him in Street Fighter V? Was he a competitor? No, he was just an entertainer? Was that it? No, that was competition. You understand that, right? That's being a competitor. So I'm not trying to hear that shit. Alright? But like I said, if he wants to go off and play other games, different genres if you want, that's his business. Definitely his business. We all do it. So I'm not trying to hear that he has to play something strictly for that, and that's what I want to talk about. The good old boy syndrome of the FGC. Now, I've talked about this for years, right? About the good old boy syndrome and the groupie syndrome that comes with it. You've just seen a good example of it. And I was called the bad guy for so long, for years. I've talked about this since, 2012? Right? FGC got so mad at me over it. Matter of fact, even one of the videos when I started exposing people and showing them how they were screwing people in the desert, y'all decided to try and flag down my video. The FGC didn't want to hear the truth. Right? And we had proof of that. Right? And what happened? Someone else, they just they put it on different accounts and uploaded it there. Because you can't stop the internet. No matter how much you tried to silence me throughout the years, guess what? I'm still here. But since, I'm the bad guy for talking about the good old boy syndrome, And you guys love to take the Reddits so much because you got to go run the Reddits because your ass hurt. You got to run the Reddits. I find that funny because 6 days ago on Reddit, guess what? You guys again, the FGC came out and said, we're tired of the good old boy syndrome. And in that thread, which has got like 202 posts, thread, it's very interesting to read because the good old boys, their club, it needs to stop. The invitationals need to stop, and they go on. They talk about how people like Flo don't try to dress according, don't even try to dress up for these type of things, and you need to be more professional. Have I not talked about this before? Okay, so like I said, every issue that they're bringing up when it comes to these type of things, everyone's saying, yeah, it needs to stop. They're praising each other. They're pretty much high-fiving each other. So it's okay to say it over there on Reddit, but when I say it on camera, it's a big fucking problem. I don't see those other guys running over to Reddit and saying, no, you're wrong, you're a hater, you're not part of the FGC, you're a Smash player, blah, 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 blah. I don't see that. I don't see that. It goes to show you, at the end of the day, once again, the truth doesn't matter who says it. But it's clear that the community is tired of this shit. Very tired of it. And I've told you for years. And I've taken all the heat for years while everyone else can, and it's fine. I'll take the heat for it. Because like I said, it's my opinion. I'm going to stand up for what I believe in, and I'm going to say it regardless how you fucking feel. It's just how it is. But it goes to show you. And I'll put the link in the info bar to that Reddit so that you can read the thread if you think I'm bullshitting you. Alright? Yeah, you need to read it. It's pretty comical. But I'm the bad guy. Anyways, let's move on to the old school. That's right, let's move on to the fighting game of the week. Woo, we got an old one for you. For those who probably didn't play this game back in the day, this was an actually legit fighter at one point. Alright? For those who don't remember. Or maybe the system itself was too rich for your blood, which is understandable because it was very expensive. For those who know what I'm talking about, let's take a look at Double Dragon for the Neo Geo. Man, there's some good times, I swear. Man, and the thing is, back then, like I said, Neo Geos, they cost so much. They were over $1,000. The carts were like over $100 to $200. I believe $200 just for a game. So it's understandable if you didn't get a chance to play this game. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's a ROM somewhere out there for it. But back then it was really tough to catch if you can get to an arcade and find it, as opposed to getting someone who actually knew it. Like I said, I had about one or two friends who had a Neo Geo, who were very privileged to have a Neo Geo. And it was very interesting to see, how they went about things. They had all the systems back then. So your Neo Geo, your TurboGrafx 16, your 3DO, all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So some of my friends were very privileged to have that stuff, and I was fortunate enough to be such good friends with them that they would invite me over to their house and play those games. So yeah, by all means, it was a great time. But I need to move on, and we need to move on, because since we're already on old school, I guess we should talk about this. And this is an interesting article, which I feel as though it's half wrong and half right. Alright? Pre-orders are open for could be the Streets of Rage killer. I already disagree with that. Alright? But the hype for this game, I am for. Alright? For those who don't talk about Paprium. Alright? Old school, alright? Very 80s, 90s-esque style of play, and it looks great. It looks amazing. For those who have not seen the trailer, the link will be in the info bar for you. It is something that I personally am going to try and play. You know what I mean? So let's move on. We'll talk about Outlast. Last week we talked about Outlast 2, did we not? And how it was banned in Australia. Well, now they've decided in Australia that they're not going to ban it. So there's going to be one version that comes out for the game, but of course it's going to be 18 plus. So, which is fine. You know what I mean? But yes, Outlast 2 is now coming to Australia. Whatever. All right, but let's move on. Rocket League, and this is something I really want to talk about. Rocket League CEO says that his own game server problems are unacceptable. Now, when you have a CEO that says something like that, first off, that instills a little bit of confidence that there are people who still care about their products that they make. However, instead of talking about it, be about it. Fix it. That's all I need to say on that. You know what I mean? Like, as far as I'm concerned, I feel as though it's the right way to go about it, saying it's unacceptable. Because I think a lot of people still fail to realize as an adult or as a consumer or in business, when you don't like something, you don't say, oh, that's complete horse shit, blah, 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 blah. No, you actually say, that's unacceptable, and you will not have that. That's what you do. It's unacceptable. That's the difference. But let's move on. Valkyria, Jesus Christ. Valkyria Chronicles. At this point, I don't know if I'm saying it right. It doesn't matter. As you know, they're coming out with, and here's the thing, people are saying it's either a sequel or it's a spinoff. But the Revolution releases on June 27th. That's right. Valkyria. That's what it is. Kyria. There you go. Or Kyria, depending on how you like to say it. But let's move on, all right? StarCraft. That's right. StarCraft Remastered has been unveiled. But here's the thing, all right? If you're a big StarCraft player, or, well, I guess if you're a big StarCraft player, it doesn't matter now because you have StarCraft. But for those who want to try out StarCraft, the original SD version has gone free. So the original version is now free as opposed to the remaster that they've made, okay? So, hey, give it a chance. You may like it, you know what I mean? Now, something I need to talk about that has really, really gotten under my skin. Capcom. Fucking Capcom. I cannot believe, Capcom, that you tried to pull this shit, and you just think that I'm just going to sit here and be like, oh, well, I guess that's going to be okay. No, Capcom, now you got me interested, and I want to jump into this. For those who don't know, I'm talking about the Monster Hunter Championships this year. Now, usually the rules to this is, if you didn't see it last year, it's really interesting that I looked up into it. Of course, it's a team of 4. You go in with your team, and you go in and you pretty much wreck shit. You know, they give you awards for, like, fastest kill and stuff like that. So there are, you know, things that you can do. But the fact that you were, which I'm absolutely loving right now, and I hate you, Capcom, for not bringing this out more. And what I mean by this is some of it's online, some of it, like, I just want this to be bigger. It should be showcased more as far as I'm concerned. But understand that this is something that should have been done long time ago. I'm saying I'm going to go back to the Freedom Unite era. Maybe I'm wrong and I didn't see it back in the Freedom Unite era. But I'm just saying that this is something that should have been, it deserves more credit. Capcom, why aren't you putting more dollars into these championships? But then again, you don't put that much dollars into Monster Hunter itself. Capcom, what is wrong with you with this? Yes, I'm interested. I'm fully all in with this, Capcom. But please, please, give this more TLC. That's what it needs. I'm just, as a Monster Hunter fan, this is something that should be big. And I'll put it like this. Games that are also like Monster Hunter, they should take a cue from Capcom at this point, and they should also have their own competitions for this. This is something that can be bigger. Like I said, not everything has to be, you know, first-person shooters or FGC or something, and Rocket League. You can make games. Catherine, as we know, Catherine has its own tournament style. So, like I said, you can take games and turn them into a tournament style. The better, the more the better, and it makes the community grow. That's what it is. Give the fans what they want, Capcom! Anyways, let's move on. Sony. And I just talked about this with Rockaway Car not too long ago, all right? Because I had asked him with this update. I was afraid of doing the Sony update not too long ago because I didn't know if it was going to mess up the PS4. And he was like, oh, no, it's fine. It's been good. You know, there's some features that, you know, that he's happy that it's in there. And now, like I said, this is what I was worried about. For those who don't know, Sony is aware of Wi-Fi issues following the release of the update for 4.50. Okay? Now, I don't think that I need to tell anyone that if you're playing a game, especially if it's something very competitive, you should have a hardwire, all right? You should have your Ethernet cable into your Sony anyway. You should not be playing on Wi-Fi. You should not, all right? You shouldn't. There's some people that'll curse you out for that, all right? But, of course, hey, we don't know anyone's situation at home. We don't know how things are going. So maybe they do play Wi-Fi. But now they're having issues with the Wi-Fi. Hopefully Sony fixed this very soon. But this is what I was afraid of when I said, look, I don't want to really download this update, but it looks like I'm going to have to. I hope it doesn't mess up my PS4, and now there's a Wi-Fi problem. All right, so let's move on. And more, we talked about this not too long ago, actually on Twitter and on Discord. Competition about Splatoon. For those who don't know, Splatoon 2 won't take up as much data if you play online with your smartphone hotspot. For those who, do Wi-Fi and stuff like that. But here's the downfall of Splatoon 2, okay? They will take up data, just not off your hotspot. But check this out, all right? I'm sorry, not Splatoon 2, sorry. Still Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch setup. But Lego City Undercover on the Switch may require over 40% of your internal memory. Over 40% of your internal memory. Lego City Undercover. Really? There's got to be something to this. There has to be more. There has to be a fix to this. They have to do something to downscale. They have to do something, all right? If you're playing that, and this is another problem we're having with large install bases as of late, but you've got to be kidding me that 40% is going to be taken from your Switch. I'm sure there's going to be guys who come in and say, there's a way around that, and you can do this and this. But still, the fact remains, this is a problem. It is. All right? Speaking of problems, I don't understand how people in the community can be excited about this because I've seen it. I'll pay for... Okay, I guess we should talk about this. Call of Duty. Apparently, for those who don't know, Activision is charging $4, all right? If you want Method Man to do your voiceovers while you're playing Call of Duty. In a time where we are arguing and refusing to pay for DLC that's like microtransactions and palette swaps and costumes and stuff like that, you're willing to pay $4 for a guy to talk to you. That's what you're willing for. And I've seen in these comments, they're like, "Yeah, I'll pay $4 for Method Man to talk to me." And I'm like, you do realize he's not talking to you personally, right? But that doesn't matter. And some people are like, well, Snoop Dogg did this, and that doesn't make it right either. You are literally spending $4 for someone to speak to you. Why don't you take that $4 and take it to someone's Patreon and have one of those chicks, those cosplayers, have one of them speak to you for $4? Oh, that's probably not enough, but still, it's ridiculous what you're spending your money on. But this is, maybe I just don't understand the new generation of fuckery that's going on here. But I mean, it's kind of obvious that this is not called for. And people say, well, it's optional. You don't have to buy it. That's not the point. The point is, you want to tell me you couldn't put this shit in the game? You couldn't tell me you couldn't do that? Make you pay $4 for literally what seems to be a soundboard. Come on, stop. But let's talk about places that are not getting paid by gamers, okay? Gamestop. Gamestop, all right, is to close 150 stores and 225 stores worldwide. Now, when I saw the responses to this, everyone was like, good. And you know what? I agree. Because their business tactics, they're so bad. The only people I feel bad for at GameStop are the assistants that really love their job. You know what I mean? The retail assistants, the people who are there trying to help you. Because, they're going to lose their jobs. They got to go find something else. As opposed to the people at GameStop, the higher-ups, who started this bullshit, all right, when it comes to the way, trade-ins happen and the value for stuff. They did that shit. Those are the ones to blame. Those are the ones that need to be kicked out. But instead, they'll stay on board while the other people will have to go. It's disgusting. It just is. But good riddance, GameStop. Anyways, let's move on. And I'll put it like this: since you know that GameStop is getting ready to close stores, you know that blowout sales are going to happen. So I'll put it like this: if you hate going to GameStop, when stores are closing, they do this type of stuff. Go get your stuff. Go get it. When they start doing that, when they're closing, like final days or whatever, go after it because that's when shit's going to be dirt cheap. Go right after it. Now, let's move on, shall we? Nioh. 1.06 patch is now available with new submissions, just to let you know, okay? And in games that are just like Nioh, or should I say that, inspired Nioh, all right? Dark Souls 3, yeah. The Ring City DLC gives closure. That's right. There's a lot of talk. I'll put a link in the info bar about this DLC giving closure to the actual series. So for those who have, I've not played it yet, but for those who have played it, I'm seeing people saying that it feels like it's there's not much balance. That the character, the fights feel a little cheap. It's not hard as opposed to cheap. Two big differences. I've seen people say that they love this DLC and they're still venturing through it. I haven't seen anyone beat the DLC yet, unless I'll go on YouTube and look. But who wants to do that? And actually beat the game, and we know the closure of how this story ends. You know what I mean? It seems like everyone's having fun though so far. And in more good news, I'll say, Final Fantasy XIV. That's right, Final Fantasy XIV removes its 14-day limitation on free trial. That means if you've been playing the free trial version, it is no longer only for 14 days. You can play it for as long as you want in the free trial, as long as you don't upgrade, apparently. So I would say if you're going to play Final Fantasy XIV, go ahead and have fun. Like I said, it's unlimited now. Do you? You know what I mean? So yeah, that seems to be the way to go about it. That's all the news I have. And I guess now it's time for my final thoughts. Anyways, for things that we've seen, it's pretty disgusting that gamers this week have been called entitled, toxic, misogynistic, fascist. It's absolutely ridiculous of the things that the media will still try and go after you with. And when you try and lean on these big YouTubers, guess what? They're going to get the heat of it too. The reason why YouTubers are getting heat as of late, whether it's Poods or JonTron or Boogie or whoever, it's because, as you know, for years now, people have been saying that YouTubers are a more viable source of information than the actual media. So, of course, if they can find some dirt on these YouTubers, they're going to go after them. They're going to discredit them to say, ha, the YouTubers that you've held to the moon, now we're going to discredit them, so then we're back being in power. That's all that is with the media. Okay? We've seen it way too much as of late. But those YouTubers are not going to save you. As the community, talk about that. As you can see, we're still seeing a lot of stupidity. We're still seeing a lot of childishness between grown men, not kids, because kids are going to be kids. You know what I mean? Even though some of them are old enough to know better. But grown men, you know better. Bottom line, you know better. All right? But what we've seen between this real and fake shit, whatever you want to call it, because they try to confuse people in a wrestling aspect, even though you shouldn't really be fooled, because it's common sense. If you have a serious personal issue with somebody, then you settle that. You know what I mean? You don't wait till tournament after tournament, I gotta play this guy again, and then nothing gets solved. That's bullshit. That doesn't happen that way, okay? So it is fake. It is. But a lot of people want the good old boys club going, and we see a lot of people who don't want celebrities in our, in our situation, in our community, because all they do is ruin what they did. We saw what happened with Lupe last time, right? Well, I find it funny that we're still seeing these type of things happening because, let's be honest here, okay? When you're seeing guys who are supposed to be so heated at each other, and they're yelling at each other, and I don't know what you're talking about, and this is not really a rivalry, and I'm not going to answer your questions, interviewer, and you know what? This needs to stop. I don't like him personally, but yet we can still ask who should really be in these tournaments.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
I just want Drake to see that interview. You know what I'm saying? That's all I care about. Obviously I got bodied. You come back stronger next time. But can we just get my man Drake out to some E-League? I know y'all got the power. Y'all got friends. Y'all got you got Joey, Rachel, you got all them people. I know you got it. Get the people.
All right, everybody out there watching this could just tweet at Drake, and then get him to see the interview, right? Right?
Not to mention, there's a now article floating around about the FGC saying, we're not about golf claps. Motherfucker, they don't say you had to be about golf claps, now did they? We just don't want you to act like a fucking idiot. That's all. But that's what y'all do. Y'all so scared to have to act like adults at times. At this point, it's embarrassing. It's disheartening. Overall, it's just, is it really worth it anymore? Look, I think at this point, I'm going to start doing videos every 2 weeks instead of every week. I think. Because the shit that rolls downhill every week is fucking ridiculous. And it seems like nobody is learning shit from it. Nobody. And it's just, it's ridiculous. I'll play this. It would open up some free time for me to play some more video games. But, you've got to be kidding me that these are the people that you cheer for. This is ridiculous. There's no reason for you to rush to someone's defense via online or whatever. You don't know that person, you know, in real life. Stop that. You don't know them. No reason to rush to their defense. When people provide proof, it's okay for you to see it for what it is. You don't have to be like, well, I don't, like I said, you don't have to be like, well, I agree he's a fraud. You can say, okay, well, the guy doesn't play that much. It's true, he doesn't. But it doesn't mean that he can't, you know, have his opinion. Now, look, it's real simple that people still, for some reason, don't know how to communicate with others. You would think in this day and time, especially on social media, they give you all the tools to be able to communicate, since y'all don't like taking your asses outside, that this wouldn't be a problem, that you would have this nailed down by now. But apparently not. I don't know. Like I said, this is something that needs to be cleaned up in our community. You cannot take shots at everyone else when you got your own skeletons in the closet. Another good example of that happened today. Anyways, I will talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I'm out. Try and have fun. Play some games.